Greetings and salutations, friends. David Wilcock is back with another treasure trove full of fake predictions and bullshit. So we're back to talk about that. Uh, First, I just want to mention that David Wilcock has previously bragged that he had 180 IQ. But somehow, this super genius, who, by the way, if he truly had a 180 IQ, that would place him and make him smarter than Einstein or Neil deGrasse Tyson or Elon Musk or Tesla, uh, can't work a fucking live stream. That was, I know people with $30 Android phones that do a better live stream. But somehow, David Wilcock has collected thousands and thousands of dollars from his foundation and spent, I believe it was something like $10,000 worth of equipment and software to do. And I'm assuming that's to do his live streams with, because after all, that's the spiritual work he's doing with the donations he's collecting. He's going on YouTube and sharing ridiculous, unproven, untrue conspiracy theories from a letter of the alphabet, right? That's very spiritual of him. But I just find it funny that the guy spent something like $10,000, and I'm sure he's spent a lot more since then, you know. And he can't work a fucking live stream. It buffered the entire time, right? It was dropping the audio. The audio was out of sync. How can a guy that has 180 IQ not work YouTube? Like, how the fuck does that? That, my friends, should be all the proof you need that his claims of being smarter than Einstein don't really hold up in real world situations. Now, do they? I listen, I thought a lot about, like, what of the best bits of this garbage do I share? Because that's what it is. That's what David Wilcock does. He shares garbage, absolute garbage. But here we are. And why am I so fascinated with this guy? Somebody mentioned something on Twitter. Yeah, I am. I'm fascinated that this guy could go on the internet and lie through his fake fucking teeth and live in $1 million house and live a millionaire's lifestyle when the only value that he offers the world is fake bullshit fairy tale stories. You know, maybe I'm just being cynical, but I don't know. I was taught by good people in my life, by mentors, really, that if you want to be successful in the world, especially financially, you have to offer people some kind of value, right? People have to find value in the work that you create. Now, this could be anything. You could become a carpenter, make fine furniture, right? Custom cabinets. You could become a tile setter, right? And make beautiful tile mosaics that people are willing to pay you hundreds of dollars an hour to do in their homes. You could provide people with valuable service or business that they find value in enough to give you money. But somehow, David Wilcock has sidestepped the usual way things work and is somehow able to collect thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars and offers people garbage. That's the value. Garbage, I've said this before, I'll say it again. Garbage has more value to the world than what David Wilcock offers people in his streams, in his public speeches, in his conference appearances. It's garbage. At least garbage has a use. You could compost it, right? You can make compost out of it. I think there's trash to steam plants that can turn garbage and trash while burning into energy, right? Garbage has more value than what David Wilcock offers the world. So I've got a few pages of notes here. I find it funny. Let's see. First, though, I do want to mention something. I have been looking deeper into the David Wilcock Spiritual Foundation. And I did some digging, and I find some of the things on their website extremely troubling, and we're going to talk about that. Um, so I'm going to cite fair use here, and I'm going to share their Spiritual Foundation website right now. Okay. So this is the part that I find really, really troubling. On their spiritual, wilcockspiritualhealing.com, and by the way, this is fair use. It's a public website. We're allowed to share it, especially for the purposes of news reporting, critique, or discussion of the content that is hosted here. wilcockspiritualhealing.com. And under the main page here, charitable causes that we support, the Sloth Foundation. And then here Elizabeth Wilcock does a video with the Sloth Foundation, which, by the way, got very little views. Very little views. Under 1,000 views. And I find that funny because David Wilcock likes to slag on people like me. Like, their views, they get less than 1,000 views sometimes, these critics. Oh, okay. But I'll take my 1,000 views for telling people the truth in a minute versus your hundreds of thousands of views for lying to people. You don't get credit for how many views you get when there's no ethics involved in what you broadcast. I could get hundreds of thousands of views too. We could start posting, secret interviews with reptilian aliens and alien hybrid factory whistleblower speaks out, it'd all be fake, just like your shit. But yeah, I could get hundreds of thousands of views. Try doing it, telling people the truth, you asshole. Try getting those numbers, telling people the truth. So, Sloth Sanctuary of Costa Rica. Elephants Now, Saving Ganesh. These are the charities that they're saying that they support. And listen, to me, it's very misleading that they're telling people that they support all these charities, and then they ask for donations for their spiritual foundation at the bottom here, right? It says, don't listen, this is very important, friends. Donations go to the Wilcock Foundation 501c3 for spiritual healing and empowerment and help support and care for animals and people who are a light to the world. Well, there's only a few organizations here that mention animals, right? I reached out to both of them. I wasn't able to get a hold of this girl from the Sloth Foundation, but I was able to get a hold of Philip from Elephants Now, who was very nice. He and I had a nice conversation. He doesn't know Wilcock, David Wilcock. He was friends with Beth. And so he did an interview with Beth. Again, it got 600 views or something like that. And what he told me is no, and this is from Philip from Elephants Now at Saving Ganesh. So Mr. Elephants Now guy that I talked to on the phone several times, actually, he called me back to talk some more, which I thought was interesting. Sometimes it's really hard to get this work done and to speak to people and get any kind of relevant answers. So my question to Philip was, does the Wilcock Foundation directly donate money to you or pay for feed for the elephants that you have in your, sanctuary? And the answer was no. According to Philip, at least, and this is direct from Philip from Elephants Now, the Wilcock Foundation doesn't give any money to these charities that they list. All they're doing is helping those charities by providing a direct donation link on their website. So a big question I have now is this line here then. Donations go to the Wilcock Foundation 501c3 for spiritual healing and empowerment and help support and care for animals and people who are a light to the world. I mean, is he feeding his dog from the Wilcock Foundation money? What animals are being fed from the David and Elizabeth Wilcock Spiritual Healing Foundation? Because according to one of the people on this list, Philip from Elephants Now, they don't get any money. And he told me that nobody on this list gets direct money. To his knowledge, they don't give out direct funds. He could be wrong. He admitted he could be wrong, and I'm admitting that he could be wrong, but that's what our foundation told us. Now, here's something interesting. Twilight Brigade. No veteran dies alone. This is Daniel Brinkley's charity, which, by the way, is now defunct. What does that mean? The charity is going belly under. And 1 second, friends. I have to get my notes to know exactly who I spoke with here. Okay, at Danion's former charity, which is no longer in business, their paperwork, in other words, has expired because they just weren't getting enough donations to keep the organization going. I spoke to a William Hatfield there, who was one of the founders, along with Daniel Brinkley, of that charity. Close friend, known Daniel Brinkley for decades. And he too said, no, the David Wilcock Foundation doesn't give us any money directly. They just put us on their website and are helping us to advertise so we can get donations from people. So again, here's two sources. I've reached out to the others, but they haven't gotten back to me, who confirmed that no, even though they're listed as charities that they support, they're not getting any money directly from the David and Elizabeth Wilcock Healing Foundation. And to me, this webpage is very, very misleading. It would be reasonable to assume that people are going to see all these nice charities. Look, a Sloth Foundation, Elephants Now, Musical Ambassadors Peace, Shakti Rising, Twilight Brigade for Veterans, Janie's Fund. Oh, that's the one created by Steven Tyler. Yeah, because he cares about young women, right? Considering his history, I find that suspect. But my point is, one would be reasonable to assume that people making donations to their foundation are assuming that they're giving some of that money to these other charities somehow. They list them and say these are charities that charitable causes we support. So my question for David and Elizabeth Wilcock is, how are you supporting them? Just by putting them on your website? Are you giving any of them any money? And can we get a breakdown of the amount of money that you have donated to each of these organizations? Because we have two sources now, Philip from Elephants Now, Saving Ganesh, and William Hatfield, who ran this organization with Daniel Brinkley, both saying, no, your organization does not give them any money. I mean, support is a broad term. In their minds, perhaps simply putting these other charities on their website and letting people, they give them a PayPal link, I guess, here, so people can donate directly to them, maybe supporting them. But I believe it's extremely misleading, especially this line down here. It goes to help support and care for animals and people who are a light to the world. What animals are you feeding from your charitable donations? We'd like a list of the animals, the feed purchases, receipts. We'd like to see that. This is a real problem, friends. This is a real problem. I don't believe that you can do this. Is it just me, right? Or does this seem extremely misleading of a thing to do to people, especially when you're saying that the charitable donations are helping feed the animals, right? How much money has David Wilcock collected in donations? We don't know. I've looked on the IRS.gov website, and they have not filed their 990 for this year, or I believe the previous year. The only one they filed is the first year, 2018, which I already have a copy of. You're required to file one every year. It's not on their IRS's website yet. I've asked directly to David and Elizabeth Wilcock through an email, several emails, if I could have copies of the 990 form. And by the way, I've even called their accounting firm, which is just a voicemail. It's like a storefront. I guess they're all working from home. I don't know. But I have friends, I called their accountant, the person listed as their accountant, I suppose, on their charity forms. And I've left several voicemails now requesting the 990 forms. Realize that if a member of the public requests the 990 forms, they're required by law to release them. The 990 forms will show us exactly how much money David Wilcock is taking into his charity and where all the money goes. This, my friends, is an important step that needs to be taken. It's in the public interest to know how much money David and Elizabeth Wilcock are taking into their foundation in the form of charitable donations and where all the money goes. Additionally, I believe that they have a moral, ethical, and maybe even a legal responsibility to answer journalists' questions. If I have a question, like, for example, when you, David Wilcock, get a super chat donation, does that go to your charity money or does that go to your private business money? I'd also like to know, how is it morally or ethically okay, or even legally okay, for you to collect charitable donations and then make content with those, buy equipment with those charitable donations in order to make content that is for profit, posted on a monetized YouTube channel, wherein you also take super chat donations to the tune of thousands of dollars per production? The money circle here looks very odd to me, and we want to find out more. I believe that David and Elizabeth Wilcock have a moral, ethical, and maybe even a legal obligation to answer these questions publicly. They certainly have a moral, ethical, and legal obligation to give me the forms. I want the forms, David Wilcock. I want the forms, Elizabeth Wilcock. You're required by law to release those 990 forms, or you shutter your charity, turn off that spigot of free PayPal money that you've been getting for, I don't know, since 2018 now. But they're a charity, right? What has his charity done since 2018 except add some other charities to their website that you can donate to? And Elizabeth Wilcock, to my knowledge, has done 2 or 3 videos about other charities that she likes, like the Sloth Foundation and the Elephant. And God bless her for doing that. But if David Wilcock really cared about helping promote these charities, why didn't he put those videos on his platform on YouTube, where his videos get hundreds and hundreds of thousands of views? Why would he leave those videos that his wife did to help support those charities on her channel, which her videos are getting 600 views? Doesn't seem like he's really all chips in supporting this foundation or these charities that he claims that he supports. And I've heard him say that they were going to be supporting veterans charities, animal charities, peace charities. Where is the support, Mr. Wilcock? If you're collecting, in 2018, he collected $90,000 in the space of 5 months for his charity. $90,000 was collected. Guess how much he gave to veterans charities? Nothing. Guess how much he gave to animal charities that year? Nothing. Guess how much he gave to peace charities that year? Nothing. Every dollar that he took in, he spent, it looks like. Oh no, they had some left over. But my point is that he did not take these charitable funds and then disperse those funds equally or not equally, whatever, amongst these charities that he's claiming that his foundation is supporting. I believe that this rises to a very troubling level of deception, deceit, and willful ignorance of acceptable, ethical fundraising norms. Let's just put it that way. So we're going to stop that. I'm going to put my fair use banner up here, because this is a fair use situation. And if we're going to be sharing some of David Wilcock's latest bullshit fest, it's a transformative work. We're going to be accepting comments and questions from the live chat while we view this video. We're going to be discussing and critiquing the contents of the video. And so this is fair use. All right, I'm not going to share. We're not going to be here very long because I can sum this whole thing up very quickly. This last 3-hour stream is an hour and a half or maybe 2 hours of him regurgitating all of the alphabet letter of the conspiracy nonsense and showing everybody what people are tweeting, but the nutters like, Lynn Wood and Sidney Powell, right? China may invade us any minute now. He's pushing that thing again, right? Yeah. Emergency broadcast system and the internet and the cable and everything's going to go down, right? And you're going to be forced to watch this video before you're allowed out of your, it's such bullshit. He's got nothing, friends. He's got nothing original. So he's regurgitating all of his garbage. That's for about the first hour and a half, maybe even 2 hours. Or no, about an hour and a half. After that, I believe that he's tipped his hand now and finally showed us what he's going to do now that this letter of the alphabet conspiracy train is going off the fucking tracks. He's going to need something to get more viewers because all of those people will leave and be gone, right? All that money gone, right? He's got to come up with a new grift, a new con. And I believe that he thought real hard about it, right? What else can I use as a source of bullshit? And friends, it's like a gift. It's like a gift from heaven. David Wilcock is going to go back to channeling his imaginary friends. You heard it here first. The new con, the new grift of David Wilcock is going to be that he's going to channel his imaginary friends, right? And write down the bullshit that his imaginary friends say, and then he's going to share that like it has any value to the human race whatsoever. It's garbage. It's garbage. And when we get into the actual readings, most of the readings go like this. We appreciate you allowing us to use you as a conduit. You are doing great and incredible work, David Wilcock, and we are so proud of you. You are fighting a war against the cabal and the deep state, and you are so very brave, David Wilcock. That is the basic, that is most of what he's channeling. Oh, I forgot. We are so incredibly proud of your woman warrior wife, David Wilcock. She is doing amazing work in the world and will change the world. We are so proud of your amazing woman warrior wife with her fake kung fu belts, David Wilcock. That's another one of the channelings of importance. Listen, godlike, interdimensional, angelic beings are communicating through David Wilcock. And what is the salient message, the major point that these godlike, angelic beings that he's now channeling again want to share with the world? They want to share with the world how great David and Elizabeth Wilcock are and what good work they're doing. David Wilcock, you sell lies to people for a living. Why would a godlike angelic being inhabit your body, allow you to channel them, and then tell you that what you're doing is a good thing, selling people lies, deception, half-truths, unproven, fake stories. That makes absolutely no fucking sense. At least get with the woo, man. You know, quantum entanglement, we're all in this together, everything is connected. You got to work on your woo, bro. I guess you're rusty because you've been busy with this letter of the alphabet conspiracy train of nonsense for a few years now. Now you're trying to get back into the bullshit psychic business. Congratulations. And I just got to say that these beings that he's channeling now are the same ones that told him that we were all going to get superpowered light bodies in the year 2000, right? You know, from his old website at ascension2000.com. He hates that website or anybody mention it. It was filled with hundreds, thousands of fake predictions that he channeled or had psychic visions or psychic dreams of, and none of that shit ever happened. And these are the same entities that told him that he was Edgar Casey reincarnated. How did that work out for him, right? And these are the same entities that told us that 2012 was going to be the Great Awakening, the Great Reset. And again, we're going to get light powers and super bodies. And everybody's going to, telepathy is going to be everyday common. You'll be able to, you know, manifest anything you think of. You'll be able to telepathically communicate. You'll be able to float. That's what he said. That's what his channeling ability gets us. Amazing, accurate information like we're going to get fucking light bodies and superpowers in the year 2000. And then he pulled out that con again in the year 2012. And that didn't happen, right? Nothing this fucking clown talks about ever happens. Ever. But we're supposed to believe the quality. And he basically says, you don't need any other channelers. They're all garbage except me. I'm real. Mine are prophetically accurate. It's been proven. No, it's never been proven. It never will be proven. Because David Wilcock, talking to your imaginary friends and writing it down and sharing it with people is not anything of value to the world, especially when none of that shit ever happens. It's garbage. So go ahead, David Wilcock. Talk to your fucking imaginary friends. And by the way, why don't you channel your imaginary friends? Because they're godlike angelic beings. Surely they would know where I buried a huge box of dildos for you to find. Now we have new superpowers. You can use your psychic powers. You can use your fake government insider friends. Now you can use your channeled angelic beings to help you find the big box of dildos I buried to test your psychic powers. By the way, it's got to be a year ago now that you've had to find a box of dildos. That's all you got to do to prove your superpowers. Oh, and another part of this stream, a good 45 minutes of it is him telling ridiculous stories about dreams he had, trying to prove that he has superpowers. You don't have superpowers, David Wilcock. Sorry to let you know. Those superpowers are fake. Because if your superpowers are real, we would have all gotten superpowers in 2000 and 2012 as well. We would be double superpowered by now. All of us. His superpowers aren't real, friends. All right, so I'm just going to play really small portions of this as we go through his video. Yeah, this is one of my favorites. He got a picture of a National Guards troop that didn't have a clip in his gun, right? And he claims that everybody is so afraid of Biden and violence against Biden that they took all the bullets away from the National Guards troops. Now, see, there is always some kind of, let me try this again. There is always some kind of truth. Oop, there we go. There's always some kind of truth in some of these conspiracy theory nonsense things that people are sharing. Yeah, they're a little concerned about right-leaning radicals or right-leaning people. That's most of the National Guard, but okay. They took all their bullets. Bullshit, friends. They didn't take their bullets. In fact, those people have the National Guard, which is now up to, by the way, there's going to be 25,000 National Guard troops in Washington, D.C. on Wednesday. And I'm told 10,000 plus police officers from various jurisdictions and agencies there, plus Secret Service, plus federal police and FBI. I don't know. Looks to me like there could be 40,000 people whose sole job it is to make sure that nothing bad happens during the transition and the inauguration. All right, so we're going to share this. So that's one theory. By the way, I made a few phone calls today. No, you dummy. They got bullets. They all got bullets, you dumbass. They've all got bullets. And that's how easy it is to go after David Wilcock and prove that his theories and the information that he shares is all fake and garbage. You make a phone call and you ask, excuse me, is it true that the National Guard has no bullets, or is that fake news? Yeah, it's fake news. They got bullets, friends. Not only do they got bullets, they have an order and authorization to use lethal force. Friends, they wouldn't put them out there with a bunch, what are they going to do? Put them out there with a bunch of sticks and no guns when they're telling them that it's okay to use lethal force? Of course not. But this is the horse shit that David Wilcock is sharing, repeating. This is the garbage from Wilcock.
With his mask, and he's got his munition there, but he doesn't have a clip in it. So, people are like, well, I don't know if this is true. Again, this may be part of what's going on right now, but there's a lot of other things going on that we're not seeing, and I believe it's all going to be fine. But the other thing that Mike was talking about
Oh, and by the way, throughout this broadcast, he keeps calling Mr. Pompeo Mike. And that is a very subtle but deceptive tactic that I believe is intended for people to infer, well, he's calling him Mike, he must know him. No, you don't know Pompeo, you asshole. Don't call him Mike, right? I don't know. When I grew up, if I would have called an adult that I did not know well or was given permission to by their first name, my father would have smacked the crap out of me, right? That's Mr. Smith. You don't call him Rick, Maybe he never learned that. You don't call somebody you don't know by their middle name. It's disrespectful. It's wrong. And in this case, he's using that tactic, I believe, in a subtle, deceptive way. He does it through the entire broadcast here. Every time he mentions Pompeo, he says Mike. Mike's doing a really good job. I really support Mike's speaking out about this. He doesn't know Pompeo. Okay, Pompeo doesn't hang around with the fallen star that is the guy who was once on Ancient Aliens for a while. Okay, doesn't happen.
That caused incredible concern in people was the next thing that we're going to on the slide here. This right here, a certain type of product from a certain type of entity in shipping containers. You don't believe me? Okay.
No, I don't believe you.
And this comes from, I forget what it is. I think it's 2016 or 2018. Sea develops multiple launcher that hides in containers. So that's right. A normal shipping sea land container can have this top that opens up, the lid pops up, out come these guys, and they shoot off their ordnance. Now,
yeah, okay, so that exists. What does that have to do with any of this? Oh, is he tying this in with his previous statement? The one that his source of which was let's see, I got to always do this, kind of rolls off the tongue if I do it right. His source for this story about communist China is about to invade us from Canada was a white supremacist, Holocaust denying convicted felon. And that's the only source he had. A white supremacist, Holocaust denying convicted felon said that 50,000 Chinese troops were amassing on our border, and then we dropped a bunker busting bomb on them. Is he trying to tie in this bullshit with that bullshit? And by the way, crazy Kerry Cassidy's running around saying we're all going to get invaded by the Chinese communists. They're amassing on the Canadian border, right? And God damn it, all my Canadian friends haven't called me to warn me that we're about to get invaded by Chinese communist troops that are just hanging out on the Canadian border. It's ridiculous. And now he's going to tie in this bullshit story that he found to tack on to his last bullshit story, which, by the way, was fake. Now, this may be a real device, but there's no proof that there's one in Canada or we have to worry about this.
What the briefing was that Mike was talking about.
The briefing was that Mike was talking about. So you're getting briefings with Mr. Pompeo now? Is that what you're claiming? Or are you once again, look at he's fixing his thinning hair. And by the way, dude, you got a wife, okay? Listen, if my single friends had fucked up hair like this, I'd forgive them because they don't have a woman that cares about them that's going to help them fix that shit. He's a married man. There's no fucking reason on God's green earth to have two-toned hair if you're a married man. You go to your wife and you say, I look like a fucking ridiculous clown with half blonde and half brown hair. It looks terrible. Help me fix it, honey. And she will, right? And he's fixing his hair while he's implying that he's getting briefings with Mike Pompeo.
Was that there are lots of these that have been positioned here quietly for years as they've been planning for this.
All right, so he's saying that there's these crates, right? These shipping containers that have pop-out missiles in them. Man, this sounds like G.I. Joe. Remember when Cobra would swoop down, right? No, there was an episode of G.I. Joe, I remember this distinctly from my childhood, where Cobra, sort of like Trojan horse invaded a city with moving trucks. They just all came in moving trucks. And then the moving trucks popped down, and then all these battle android trooper Cobra robots came out and started taking over. This is a fucking G.I. Joe episode, David Wilcock, you asshole. It's incredible. It's the level of bullshit. This is grade A bullshit. So he's getting briefings, right, from Pompeo, and these are positioned all over the country, apparently, and we should be concerned about that. This is kind of like when he once claimed that there were bombs under every major bridge in America that could be exploded remotely, right? To cut people off and isolate everyone when this great reset happens, right? And martial law is declared, and that never happened, right? People even went and looked under the bridges, David Wilcock. There's no bombs under the bridges, you asshole. But here we go with the fear porn garbage nonsense.
Again, that's very, very upsetting. And furthermore, to get back to the slide once again, the power grid is the number one target. That's what they intend to hit with these, apparently, that and other critical infrastructure things. So one of the things Mike reported on is that there are batteries of these Patriots activated all over the U.S. And if you go through the right channels and you look at all the notifications that they put out for the military, you can easily see this. Now, some of the briefings we got hinted at the possibility, but most of them are still very positive.
Again, I keep on saying this, but it's an important point that has to be repeated time and time again. David Wilcock, military officers get briefings. Elected government officials and bureaucrats within the government get briefings, right? Intelligence officers get briefings. Some asshole who was on Ancient Aliens talking about aliens is not getting briefings, not from anyone of importance, except for your fake whistleblowers, your fake insiders, your fake sources that we've already ripped to shreds. All of your sources are fake as shit. So if you're fake as shit, people are briefing you. And by the way, he's been saying I'm getting briefings for 10 years now. All of his briefings are apparently false. Why would you continue listening to somebody that's giving you false information unless all you want to do, all you want out of life is to sell people fake shit and bullshit?
Now, the good thing about these Patriots is that they are very, very good at intercepting things in real time. So hopefully, if these are ever even used, if these Sealand container things are ever used, they will all be stopped We don't know for sure, but it looks very likely that they would all be stopped. So it's a very terrifying situation, to say the least.
I'm terrified, David
Poignancy
Wilcock.
of what's going on at this moment. All right, back to the slide again. Here's another tweet kind of thing that showed up, basically saying, Sean Spicer, the former WH press secretary, saying they are stopping every car trying to leave the city and are asking for ID. So this is...
Yeah, because the whole city of Washington, D.C. is at heightened alert because of the turmoil that happened, right, with the Capitol building. There's going to be 35,000 law enforcement and National Guard troops there on Wednesday. They've cordoned whole areas of the city off. The security is super heightened, and they're trying to track who's coming and going from the city and why. There's no conspiracy there.
This is again showing they don't want people leaving. There's some kind of operations going to be taking place there, and it doesn't matter whether they have ammo yet or not. Don't worry about it, everybody. It's going to be fine. And then just today, as I was putting all the...
This one's my favorite. He got an email saying, read immediately, and he had to go click on that link.
This other stuff together and looking at the possibility of the negative outcomes, I got an email that said, read immediately. And while I was putting these slides together at the exact point we are now...
1 second, friends. If somebody is texting me, know that my
phone is
in trouble.
At the exact moment that I clicked on it, I got major synchronicities. And this shows me the possibility. The way I like to work is that when I see synchronicity, it means there's probably something going on that I should pay attention to. The first thing I noticed was the video view count, which just for me, at this exact second that I went in, had exactly 3,333 views. You don't believe me? I took a picture of it. And so there he is, 3333. And then this is all I saw at first. I was already impressed, especially because if you look carefully,
I'm impressed.
The total runtime of the video ends in a 33. So there's another one. 2 minutes and 33 seconds, right? You see that? But wait, there's more. Not only were there 3,333 views, he also has exactly 333 subscribers, as you can see right here. And just to make the point better.
Yeah, what does that mean, David Wilcock? That is just random chance numbers. It doesn't mean anything except to a fucking dumbass like you who's got to connect dots that aren't there, right? And find some... What does that have to do with anything?
I'm going to zoom in on it. So there you... And I just, for fun, I put it at...
This is why he needs 3-hour streams, because he's got to spend 10 minutes talking about the numbers on a video he watched and what it means to him. It doesn't mean anything to anybody but you, because you're a dumbass.
The 33-minute mark, just to have fun, okay? That's all that is. But again, it ends in 33, 2 minutes, 33 seconds, 3,333 views, and 333 subscribers. Now, this has to do with the concept of what you see there, hashtag Great Voice, which is actually a very significant thing. It's a mass notification system for all of our people in uniform and people like...
Yeah, so he's going with the discredited, fake, some would say ridiculous theory that everything's going to get shut down and they're going to use the emergency broadcasting system to share with us all this information. We're finally going to get the proof about those mold children and the trafficking rings. And by the way, I just want to say that if you care anything about people who are truly being sex trafficked in the world, Mr. Love and Light, you would not muddy the waters of the truth of some of those things with this ridiculous nonsense that you continually share, because it cheapens the victimhood of real victims of that sort of thing all over the world today when you do that. But you are a spiritual guru, right? So you're going to share fake stories about this garbage.
Emergency services. So the way I like to work is that when somebody says, read this immediately right now, and I was at this point in the slideshow as I'm building it, and I'm talking about all this really fearful stuff, and then I click on it and I get all these repeating numbers. First of all, this is something I've been documenting for many, many, many years. Typical skeptics, typical people who are not familiar with this type of initiatory world have a real hard time with synchronicity, but I don't know how it works, honestly. I'm not.
All right, so you don't know how it works, but it's important that those threes were all in that video. And the skeptics don't understand it. But you just said you don't understand it either. He contradicts himself from one sentence to the next. He can't keep his lies straight. His grift is coming apart live on YouTube, and it's glorious, friends. It's glorious.
Trying to do it. It's just that when I seemingly randomly click on something, in certain cases like this, there's repeating number patterns, and this has been going on for years.
Does anybody wonder if he sees repeating number patterns when he randomly clicks on porn videos? I don't. Thought came to mind.
Document it thoroughly in my new book, Awakening in the Dream, as I did in the Synchronicity Key. I've had almost every article that I have, I would get them at the end, and I document them. So this to me suggests very strongly that even if the intel that he's giving us is not precisely correct, that it's trending in the right direction of hope at least. And there's a possibility, but we're going to find.
All right, so this information could be completely and totally fake, but there was all those numbers that made sense to me, so I'm going to share this that may be completely and totally fake because there was a lot of threes in it when I clicked on it. That's what he just spent, I don't know, 15 minutes explaining.
Find out real soon.
Oh, yeah, and all this stuff that he's about to say was supposed to happen last night, or it's going to happen today. So we're very topical on this, right? The stuff that he's about to say now is supposed to happen tonight, or yesterday night, or today.
That this might actually be true. Now, I don't know, but I think that he's on the right track.
If you don't know if it's true, why are you sharing it? Because there were some threes in the video when I clicked on it, and he might be on the right track. He's admitting himself that he doesn't know if any of this shit is real. His imaginary storybook friends and the land of make-believe that he lives in is unraveling right out of his own mouth.
At least. So when I see those synchronicities, it gets me to pay attention. Let's go back to what did this actually say. So he's reporting on alleged leaked intel. And this is the quote.
And we all know what the quality of David Wilcock's so-called intel. He likes to use that word too, briefings and intel. David Wilcock gets briefings and intel. And if he truly does get briefings and intel, he's been so wrong about everything that he said that no one should trust either his briefings or his so-called intel, because it's all fake. None of it ever happens. It never comes. There never comes a point where he can definitively say, I talked about this a month ago, now it happened. He fakes that shit happened that he prophesized, but no, he doesn't have proof.
From the beginning of the video, I'm transcribing it for you. Are you serious? Are you serious? Guys, this is some information that was sent to me from one of the Make America Great groups out there. An Air Force pilot received this information. He then sent it to his father-in-law, and this is what it says. And folks, this is mind-blowing if it's true.
And again, subtle deceptive tactics used here. This is information that was sent to me from one of the MAGA groups, and it was sent to an Air Force pilot. That's to add legitimacy to the bullshit. It wasn't sent to, Joe Q public. It was sent to an Air Force pilot received this information. That's who we're getting it from, because generally, most people believe that people that are members of the armed forces are trustworthy in things that they say. They're trained to be. There's a universal code of military ethics, right? It's a subtle deceptive tactic used here. And idiot Wilcock fell for it, hook, line, and sinker, and now he's sharing this garbage to potentially millions of people.
True, and again, we're not going to have to wait very long, but at least I hope the trend line of this is correct. Quote, this is from the Air Force. What was he, a captain, right? It was a captain. Let's see. Let's get a pilot. He's a pilot. I'm sorry about that. We don't know what his rank is.
I think his rank is that he is a general in the land of make-believe that you live in, David Wilcock. That's what I think his official rank is. He's a general in the land of make-believe.
Okay, so here we go. We need 100% of the people, assumingly on Earth, indoors to see what the United States military is going to broadcast on everyone's TV sets worldwide. It's going to be very painful, but we can no longer have people divided. Around Sunday or Monday. Now, he didn't say what week, but I would assume that's like today or tomorrow. So this is a very, very tight deadline. The President of the United States will send out a message saying, "My fellow Americans, the storm is upon us. We will go to full global ML." The Prez will be on AF1 when he sends out 7 presidential messages. Okay, we got a number. That's something.
Now, remember, this is all supposed to happen yesterday and or today. And I don't know about you, but I haven't gotten a storm is upon us text from the president, and I didn't get anything on my TV set. I don't know. Maybe it's going to happen later today, right? There's still hope that this garbage prophecy prediction and stuff that he's talking about will really happen. Do I believe it's going to happen? Fuck no, because none of it ever happens. But come on, David Wilcock, let's push this bullshit right off the cliff.
Something I've never heard before. Now, this could all be a LARP. It might not be true at all.
This could all be a LARP. It might not be true at all, but I'm sharing it to potentially millions of people. That's stupid. It's unethical, right? And it's irresponsible for you to share this when you know it may not be true. But here you are doing it like a dumbass.
Not saying that it is, but it's compelling. 7 presidential messages to everyone's phones and TV sets worldwide on an emergency B system. From there, all global military via the U.S. military.
The storm is upon us, friends. The military is going to shut down all the media.
Shut down all media. Apparently, this is a worldwide event. That's internet, social media, phones, and all TV programming. They will be all under one channel, which I guess means there's only one channel you can get, and you'll be able to get it somehow, and emergency services. There, the U.S. military can broadcast 10 days of this storm, and he also said seven messages. So 10 days, 7 messages, something like that. 10 days of sessions. Now, what are they? He says it very clearly.
This is
3-hour video confessions from a military T.
Yeah, and just a moment to comment on why would a spiritual guru be happy and excited that people's constitutional rights are going to be suspended, martial law may be declared, and everybody's going to get tried in secret military tribunals, and then the video confessions from those military tribunals are going to get broadcasted. He's happy about that. How very spiritual of him, right? The guy who runs a spiritual foundation being happy if this were to happen, that everyone's constitutional rights just get shit all over and they get tried in military tribunals.
Lots of evidence for the scandal listed in the storm. While this is happening, they will be removing governments, making global arrests, and this will all be going on.
10 days
and
of
then
the storm.
The guy who did the video that we just saw said the following. So Americans will be getting arrested around the globe, not just here in the U.S., but other parts of the world, and people from around the world who have participated in this sea attempt against the president of the U.S. So that's very, very, very exciting, folks.
Why is he excited about that? This would be terrible, but he's excited about it because he's a spiritual guru.
Now, do we know if this is true? Absolutely not. Is it possibly true? Yes. Do I like the fact that it had 3,333 subscribers? Or 333 subscribers.
Again with the number salad garbage.
And 3,333 views at the exact moment I read it. Yes, I didn't want to close that window on my computer. I'm like, leave it up. This is unbelievable. I still have it open on the other machine. Now, I will also say that I have gotten other sources that have said very similar.
Oh, here we go. Now we get into the David Wilcock prover maneuver, where he cites he just shared a potentially fake source, and he doesn't know if it's true, but now he's going to double down on the bullshit and instantly tell you about a couple other sources, none of which he'll name, right? Or show you the information that they gave him. He's just going to say he's got other insiders that are telling him the same things, right?
Similar things, specifically regarding the idea that there are going to be videos, taped at tribunals that are going to be airing. This is not the only place I heard this. The other briefing had additional information that I do not feel comfortable sharing. I do not want to screw up any of these plans. When it could happen, again,
he wants this to happen.
Might be after the 20th. We really honestly don't know, but it's crazy exciting. Now, something for the people who say nothing ever changes, David, why do you always talk about this? Nothing ever happens. Well,
he's talking right to me, friends. Thank you, David Wilcock. Why don't you just mention me on your show? Because I'm one of those people that say that none of this shit you talk about ever happens, bro. It never happens.
Well, something did happen. Back to the slide. Pindar actually is the name of the leader of this group that we've been talking about for so long. It is a name that refers to the dragon and the male member of the dragon. That's the name of the leader. So the Pindar is basically the number one guy. And this number one guy just so happened to have mysteriously passed over.
Okay, so he's talking about, look, this is what happened. A guy connected to
on January 16th at age 57. And here you go. That's right. Banker.
Yeah. So the one of the owners of the Rothschild group died. Somehow that's supposed to prove anything. He didn't predict that guy would die, but somehow he's trying to prove his superpowers here because that guy died. It doesn't make any sense. You're reaching, Wilcock, reaching. And your grasp far exceeds, your reach does not exceed your grasp. You can't hold on to these superpowered delusions of yours with such weak so-called prover maneuvers. You got to get better at the David Wilcock prover maneuver. This doesn't prove anything. People die all the time.
Banker Benjamin de Rothschild, I probably shouldn't say that either, owner of the group, dies age 57. So that is compelling because that's a very young age and it's a very suspicious time, to say the least. Now, this is all, again, showing the possibility of steps being taken leading up to other steps. We had that.
So what is he saying? He got murdered? He doesn't even say. Why does that have to do with anything? He just throws it out there. Well, one of the Rothschilds died.
Blackout in Italy that went on for 8 hours. And all kinds of strange suggestions that evidence was obtained inside, possibility that people were arrested that we don't know about.
He is just running with this letter of the alphabet conspiracy train that's going off the cliff, right? What the hell? What day is it? It's the 18th. Bro, you got 2 more days to push this garbage. Are you really going to push this garbage right to the end of that cliff of bullshit or what? You've been talking about all this crap for years. None of it was true. None of it happened. And we're 2 days before the inauguration of Biden.
About same thing apparently happened in Pakistan. Same thing apparently happened.
Power failures happen, you asshole. Doesn't mean there's some grand worldwide conspiracy.
Germany. So it's all quiet up until now. But then we also have, like in DC itself, people can't go anywhere. So this could all be part of a very well orchestrated plan that we're seeing take place.
Or you could be connecting dots that aren't there, and none of this is reality. Because you live in the land of David Wilcock make-believe, right?
Back to the slide. Another thing we're very interested in now
the emergency alert
system.
All right, we're gonna drop out of this. I'm gonna share one more part. Oh, let me see. We'll get back to the. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to leave that up there. Hey, Sweet Cheeks is here. You are most welcome, Sweet Cheeks. Absolutely. Oh, and I want to give a shout out to Jonaside, our latest PayPal donator, with a kind and generous donation. I truly appreciate his continued support. Big supporter of the show. Every once in a while throws me a couple of bucks to help me keep things going here. You have my sincere gratitude and thanks, friends. So that's half of this stream. Is David Wilcock regurgitating the letter of the alphabet garbage, no matter how suspect. He's even saying, like, he's being a lot more careful now. He's trying to give himself an L. This may not be true. Well, then why are you bothering to talk about it for a half hour if it may not be true? Why don't you have good sources of stuff that it is true to talk about? But he doesn't. Then we get to the second half of the stream where he's going to start telling you that he's going back to channeling his imaginary friends. Yeah, that's going to be his news source of bullshit. Since I guess that letter of the alphabet, stuff is, going away. So he's going to need some new bullshit to share with people. All right, and I'm just trying to get to where he talks about the readings. And by the way, I'm hesitant to even mention this, but I think that I will. David Wilcock professes to be a Christian, and I just have to say, I spent 12 years in scripture study, with priests and brothers in the Catholic Church, very schooled on Christianity. Christians would not trust or believe any channeled source as genuine or as valuable. In fact, they would discourage anyone from channeling or from reading channeled material. So there's that. Mr. Spiritual Guru claims to be a Christian, while at the same time, he's going to channel these interdimensional beings, right? And that's another good point. At one point, he says that he's channeling the tall white aliens, which, by the way, the tall white aliens were a fictional, made-up bullshit story by Charles Hall. They're not real. So how are you channeling aliens that some other guy made up? That's been proven a fraud. But that's what you're channeling? And again, a Christian would not involve themselves in channeling. It would be against being a Christian. You can't be a Christian and channel aliens at the same time. But this is the level of the con here. He's trying to get people that are Christians, get people that are New Agers all together under the same tent to send him donations. And it doesn't work out like that, David Wilcock. You cannot be a Christian and channel aliens or interdimensional beings or angels. You can't do both. So pick a lane. Either you're a Christian or you're a New Age bullshit channeler. You can't do both. And that sounds kind of judgmental. I don't want to say you can't do both, but I want to say that every Christian person that you would talk to who with a knowledge of Christian faith and belief and the rules of Christianity would tell you that you cannot channel beings, right? The only source of valuable spiritual information is God or Jesus or the Holy Spirit, right? Or the saints, maybe, but you don't channel them, right? Just a side note, I mean, he can do what he wants, but I'm telling you from a Christian perspective, having grown up Christian, spending 12 years in scripture study, channeling is not something you can do as a Christian, not as a good Christian. That's my personal opinion. That's my belief and speculation based on my 12 years of education in the Christian faith and Bible study. I may be wrong, but I don't believe so. In fact, I'll go this far. The reason that Christians and Catholics, especially Catholics, do not condone, allow, or promote channeling is very simple. You don't know who you're speaking to. They may say they're the Galactic Federation or the Love and Light kind of angels, right? But that could be a deception. That could be dark forces, demons, jinn, whatever your understanding of those evil entities out there in other dimensions, whatever your understanding is, Christians believe that channeling could leave you open to demon possession, could leave you open to dark influences and misinformation, disinformation, and deceptive information being fed to you by negative entities like demons. That, just want to give an explanation of why Christians do not condone or believe in channeling as any kind of source of information. So he's burning the candle at both ends, claiming to be a Christian, and he's going to channel these entities, right? We're going to share some of this. And
that we're all being attacked by this thing. All of us are the person falling, right? That's what the dream means. I have to fall on the ice to underline that. Then my mother has to fall and break her hip so that we really know that we're paying.
Okay, I skipped too far ahead, so let me just explain. David Wilcock spent a good portion of the time in this stream trying to prove that his superpowers are real. And one of the proofs that he came up with is that he once had a dream that he was going to fall on ice. And the next day, he fell on some ice. And his mother fell and broke her hip. So that must mean that his superpowers are real. Okay. That's the value. That's the indisputable proof that David Wilcock has prophetic psychic superpowers. That he once had a dream about falling on ice, and then he fell on ice. And I found it extremely funny that he tried to go to his wife to prove that he fell on ice. I'm telling the truth here. And then his wife basically didn't back up his story. Take from that what you will, but it's funny. He went to her several times in an effort. I guess he was light on the usual David Wilcock prover maneuver. So he needed his wife to say, yeah, he's not lying. And she didn't. Interesting.
Paying attention after I tweeted about this. And again, that's not evil. This is just a way of using dramatic events to let us know this is very important and we need to pay attention.
He has to tell you that him sharing this garbage is not evil. That's great.
Just like that guy that did the video, and as I told you, I go there and I showed you this, 3,333 views and 333 subscribers. Again, suggesting this is all going to be fine. So with all that is build up, and now we're at 8:47. I don't have a whole lot of time left. This might go a little bit over 3 hours, and for that I do apologize.
Yeah, it might go. It always goes because you can't shut the fuck up, bro.
But I want to read you this reading because it's so beautiful and it's so inspiring, and it has prophetic things in it that have not happened yet, as well as some other things that are highly compelling. So without further ado, what I'm about to read you appears to be positive, benevolent sources that are coming from the Christ light. My own higher self is unified with that.
Again, I'm glad that I mentioned this point about Christianity. Channeling never comes from Christ or the Christ light. You have just contradicted every Christian with a knowledge of actual Christian belief in the known world. Ask any minister, ask any theology professor who has a knowledge of Christianity. Ask any Catholic priest, any Catholic monk, any Catholic nun, any Catholic bishop, any Catholic brother. If any form of channeling comes from Christ or from Christ light, they, David Wilcock, 100%, I invite anybody to go make some phone calls and ask them. They will all tell you, any person with a knowledge of Christian belief and the rules of Christianity will tell you that no channeler is tapping into Christ or the Christ light. And I just want to say, you're supposed to be a spiritual guru. So you just went against and insulted every Christian who believes in Christianity by saying that you're channeling Christ to come up with these bullshit messages. It's not happening, David Wilcock. Christ does not channel himself through humans, right? I believe, and I'm free to believe and speculate this, that Mr. Wilcock, if he is indeed channeling anything, is channeling demons, trickster entities, negative entities, jinn, call them whatever you want, Christ, and you're not channeling from Christ or Christ light. You're not doing that. And to say that is extremely deceptive, because no good Christian, and I hate to be like judgmental here, but it's like, how do I properly communicate this? Nobody that is a Christian would say that they're channeling entities from another dimension through Christ or Christ light. That's not how this works, David Wilcock. That's not how any of this works. And as a Christian myself, I'm extremely insulted that you would do that, that you would suggest to people while soliciting donations that you're channeling Christ in these channeled sessions, doing these readings. But as a Christian, I also have to forgive. So I forgive you for being a dumbass. I forgive you for insulting probably the world's biggest religion and everybody in it by claiming that you're channeling Christ here. Is this kind of like how you channeled Ra? And is Ra Christ too? Are they different entities? What's going on here, David Wilcock? How the fuck are you channeling Christ? You're not. Stop lying to people. Don't tell them that. It's insulting to Christians. But you don't care. Mr. Spiritual Guru doesn't care if he insults every Christian on earth, as long as those super chat donations are coming in while he's telling people that he's channeling Christ.
Coming through me, using these intermediaries, using angelic benevolent forces, and giving us the...
How does he know they're angelic benevolent forces? He has no way to know what entities he's channeling. It's just as likely, if he believes that he's channeling angelic beings, that he's channeling demonic ones. You open yourself up as a conduit to these things. You don't know what's going to come in.
These words. Now, I've got thousands of pages of this. I explain the whole thing. It's rare that I'm able to do one, but the beings are clear. I call it the beings just for whatever, because there's more than one of them. And they are these tall whites or whatever. That's what they appear to be, what I've seen when they're doing this. But again,
he's channeling Christ, then he's channeling angelic beings, now he's channeling tall white aliens. Which one is it? And by the way, did you catch that line where he said, I'm often not able to do this? Now that the letter of the conspiracy train alphabet soup bullshit is over with, he's going to need a new grift. And I have a feeling that he's going to have a lot easier time doing these bullshit readings going forward, friends.
Before you go laughing and before you go thinking that I'm crazy, which you probably will anyway, just remember that these sources have predicted the future countless occasions. I had 500 clients, a 99% success rate.
No, that's inaccurate. You did not have a 99% success rate, because after all, anybody can watch that Kevin Moore interview done with the gentleman, his name escapes me, who wrote the book about you being Edgar Cayce reincarnated, who said in the interview that he sent many people to you to get psychic readings that were so disappointed in they wanted their money back. Did you forget to calculate all those people in your 99% accuracy? And anybody can say this shit. Show us the client list. Let me interview your clients. You won't, because it's fake. You don't have superpowers, dummy.
People really get into this, okay? And I had one lady who got a reading from me, and it not only quoted the lyrics from some of the songs she'd written, but it explained to her why she'd written them. And she was in tears. She was blown away. There's a lot.
Again, we're never going to get the name of this person. Nobody's allowed to interview them and verify that this story is real, because he's making it up.
A lot of really great stuff in the book about this and how it happened. So
this is what I'm saying. His subconscious has got to be bothering him, because through a great portion of this stream, he continually keeps trying to prove that his superpowers are real. It's like he's trying to convince himself somehow. He must feel guilty for all the money that he's taken from people for what he knows is garbage information and some kind of channeled entities. Could be anything. He could be spreading demonic information around. And here's another thing. When we get to see the actual readings, it becomes laughable. Would Christ and angels and interdimensional aliens take the time to channel themselves into David Wilcock's consciousness and give him messages like he's about to share? It's ridiculous.
I think, honestly, that I'm doing it about as well as anybody can right now. I don't know if there's anybody else who's really doing it like this, following the protocols of remote viewing, doing it in the way that's the most likely to succeed and get authentic results. There might be somebody else doing it. Please don't send me all this stuff. You know what? There's so many bad channelers, and there's so many people that aren't doing it well. It's not that interesting. We've had to say this.
And there's the pitch. All the rest of the channelers are doing a terrible job at it, but I'm the one that's doing it accurately. Again, this is a statement with no proof, no factual supportive evidence to support his claims that he's, really accurate in his channelings and the rest are all bad. It's just a blanket statement. And this, again, is a subtle deceptive tactic that he's using to bolster his believers. Don't believe in those other channelers, but believe me when I do it.
This before, but like the Law of One, the Casey readings, the Seth books, and what I've brought together, and a few other things I mentioned in the book, that's really enough. We don't need tons and tons of channeling.
Yeah, so only the channelings where he is making money from, that's all the ones we need. We don't need any other channelers out there selling anything. We've got enough with the stuff that I was involved with. And yeah, he did not channel the original Law of One material, but he was heavily involved, having worked with the woman who did for some time. And he continually talks about the Law of One in his paid conference appearances and all this other stuff. So if he's making money off of the channel material, then it's good and it's okay. But we don't need any other channel material. Just the stuff that I'm making money from is accurate and real. And the rest of it. So in a space of 10 minutes here, he has insulted every person that believes in channeling and every Christian on planet Earth by somehow first claiming that he's channeling Christ, then claiming he's channeling angels, which is another thing that no Christian believes is something that is real or that happens. And now he's insulting every other channeler, every other person that believes in channeling, everybody that reads channel material. They're all wrong, and only the stuff that I make money from is accurate or valuable.
And there's so much garbage out there that it flushes out the signal. So again, I hardly have done this since 2005, but when I was in Canada in this beautiful cabin, this is what came through from a very deep source. I'm going to read it to you now. And it's for everybody. It's not just for me. Now, this is really strange because this was on September 19th, 2019, and it says the states have all aligned in your favor. This didn't make any sense at the time, so I actually put SP next to the word states because I didn't know if that spelling was right. But now in context, we just had this E thing go down, and now it's like the states appear to have been lost. And it appears that, we're going to have this new situation show up for us that's very troubling to people. And the very first thing this time-looped reading said, with my mother's injury and my fall and the weird dream.
Again, with the David Wilcock prover maneuver. This prophetic reading has to be real because I had a dream that I would fall on some ice, and the next day I did. And then my mother fell and broke her hip. So this reading must be real. And listen to that general vague statement. All the states have aligned in your favor. That could mean anything to anybody. This is what fake psychics do. They throw out stupid, generalized statements that anybody can apply to their own lives and find meaning in. Doesn't mean there's any meaning in it, but here we go.
And then all this stuff, the first thing it said is the states have aligned in your favor. And it's talking to you. And it's talking about this moment right now. I totally believe that this reading was meant to be unpacked right now. And I hadn't even remembered that I'd done this. Honestly, I just wrote all this down. And I
forgot all about this bullshit until this letter of the alphabet bullshit crazy train is coming to an end, and I'm going to need new sources. So I suddenly remembered that I can channel Christ and Ra and angels and tall white aliens, and now I'm going to use them as a source of my bullshit from my land of David Wilcock make-believe and my love room.
I went on with my vacation, and I said, I should go back and look at that, and then I forgot about it. So now it's come up. The states have all aligned in your favor. That sure sounds like what's going on right now. And again, I can prove that this was done in September 2019 by time-encoded things on my hard drive. Once we become aware of the new opportunities, we can no longer regard these situations as becoming more hostile in the extreme.
Again, this is such a vague, generalized statement. How the hell is he going to? What does any of this mean? It's word salad nonsense. It doesn't mean anything to anybody but David Wilcock and the residents of the David Wilcock land of make-believe.
And just leave it on this slide for a minute. I'm going to narrate over it. The current situation that we're in right now, in the time looped moment that we're in, that my mother's injury shows us and everything.
Yeah, his mother fell and broke her hip, and that proves we're stuck in a time loop, friends.
Else going on, me getting that hip treatment. Everybody's, the fear right now is that this is a very extremely hostile situation, but they're saying, wait a minute, the states have aligned in your favor, and there are new
I'm going to skip ahead here.
That does seem impossible right now, but is nonetheless ever.
Yeah. Yeah. This is what the angels and Christ and the tall white aliens wanted to communicate to him. Listen to this ego stroking a bunch of bullshit. Bullshit. Ego stroking nonsense. Why would Jesus Christ channel to David Wilcock this information? You will become a celebrity in a way that does not seem impossible right now, but is nonetheless ever achievable. For so long, you had toiled and labored under the sun, not seeing the fruits of the vineyards for what they truly are, right? And they're going to open the doors. It's bullshit. He's stroking his own ego here. Why would Jesus Christ fucking channel himself into David Wilcock's consciousness, voice, and body to tell David Wilcock that he's going to be a big celebrity and that he's worked so hard and he hasn't seen the fruits of his labor? How has he worked hard? Selling bullshit, right? Dude, if Jesus actually channeled into David Wilcock, he would rip him a new asshole for lying to people, for taking all this money and donations and claiming he's feeding animals when he's not. Allegedly not. Still unproven. Angels would not channel into somebody to stroke their ego. I just don't see that as something an angel would spend their time doing, or an angelic being, or Christ especially. But this is what the readings are. The readings are, you're doing such a great job. You're doing such a great job on your bullshit. Good job on your bullshit. Yeah, and then Richmond, Virginia. Yeah, okay. Oh, let's get to another part of this reading. Yeah, and again, this is the information that he's claiming Christ, angelic beings, and tall white aliens are communicating to him. It's important not to lose your focus as these transmissions continue. Our connection with you will be strengthened and deepened, and this is indeed very useful. Yeah. His connection to the angels and the tall white aliens that he's going to channel has got to become strengthened and deepened, because he needs new bullshit right now. So he's pulling out his old bullshit, channeling shit. That's what's happening here, friends. And again, ego stroking nonsense. You will be able to soar into heights that were never before attainable. And in light of what is happening to you now, this should be a cause for great excitement, right? Let's see some more. Yeah, so he complains to the beings that he's got a pain in his right hip. It's flaring up and impacting the signal. And they say, we appreciate your dedication to this cause and remind you that you are loved more than you could ever possibly imagine. Come on, friends. Come on. Now we get into the rest. Oh, God, we get into the rest. All right, so the former Israeli space minister, he pulls that bullshit out again. That had to do with a former Israeli space minister whose granddaughter was listening to, let's see, Laura Eisenhower talk about aliens, and he sort of repeated some of that information in an interview. He didn't say any of that. He said he heard his granddaughter said this stuff. And you're running with it because you're a dumbass. More stuff from his Jesus and let's see, angel alien channelings. We authored the Bible in a sense, as well as been the case with many other texts as well. The principle of ageless wisdom we do not change throughout time, will not change throughout time and space. They are easily some of the most heartfelt comments we have ever seen, and they reside within a perspective where the happenstances of life are fundamentally intertwined. New age garbage and nonsense. Yeah. So we're supposed to follow their guidance. Much has been accomplished, and there is far more to come. It is a very happy moment for us to note that the timelines are forever denied in light of this new information. Again, this is garbage. It's all garbage. And again, they're stroking his ego. We would not be here without your sincere efforts, and we appreciate that. It is always a good idea for you to remain in contact with us. For with this contact comes the opportunity to regain that which you had lost. What did you lose? Your career selling people fake psychic bullshit? Now you're going to get that back? Okay, his reputation is built upon impeccability, kind of like the impeccable sources you use for your bullshit, like court-martialed child molesters, let's see, white supremacists, Holocaust denying, convicted felons, and fake Ronald Reagan technology advisors. Those sources you have your reputation is not built on anything like impeccability. Again, this is his subconscious leaking into his conscious mind because he feels guilty knowing that everything he talks about is lies and made up fake fairy tale nonsense bullshit. So the aliens are going to tell him what a great job he's doing. Yeah, the aliens are going to tell him what a great job he's doing. I can't take much more of this, friends. We're going to try to find one more. Yeah. And again, all these generalized statements, allow yourself to appreciate the good things in life. Do not worry about the fussy details of every situation. Focus on the large-scale visions and let them take you to realms undeterred by your thought of failure or otherwise lack of success. What a bunch of garbage. It's garbage. This is what he's saying Christ had to come and channel through him to communicate with the world. We can only remind you it is important not to work constantly, as David has done recently. He's always talking about how hard he works. It's not that hard to collect together a bunch of bullshit from Twitter, bro, and do a 3-hour live stream regurgitating letter of the alphabet garbage, right? Yeah, and they're stroking his ego, telling him all these opportunities are ahead for him and what great job he's going to do. And I believe there's even another one. The gold diggers are weeded out. Yeah, there's another one where he like his wife. Oh yeah, here we go. So it's not only did Christ have to channel himself through David Wilcock to stroke David Wilcock's ego and tell him how great he's going to do channeling this bullshit. They're gonna stroke his wife's ego as well. It takes a great deal of stamina and persistence to approach this work without being consumed by it. You have done an admirable, if not amazing job under the circumstances. We are indeed very appreciative of all that has transpired in your role within said transformation. We are truly blessed to have both of you working on our team and listening for these answers as they are now being given. Yeah, he's listening for answers in the land of make-believe, friends. The land of make-believe. Yeah, again, why would Jesus Christ come to David Wilcock and channel into his consciousness to tell him that they're both exceptional people, and what now comes your way will be quite inordinately exceptional. You may think that there is stagnation. Nothing could be further from the truth. You may think there is impending defeat. Nothing could be further from the truth. And again, custom-written garbage to and hopium to appeal to hopeless people at this point. Yeah. Years of waiting and endless toil. And then he talks about karma. Listen, bro, if angelic beings were really channeling to you, they would tell you that you have a great debt of karma to pay for collecting money from stupid people for decades, living a millionaire's lifestyle, right? You don't work hard, bro. You don't know what hard work is. Oh, we can rest assured there's no more large disasters taking place. What is coming will be truly astonishing. Okay. Again, with these predictions, these great big things are going to happen. And they never do. They never do, friends. And then he goes out with a peace meditation, I believe, right? I'm trying to just plow through it. Yeah. So, and then he talks about his voice changing, becoming more feminine. And that I could definitely believe about David Wilcock. Yeah, and again, stroking their ego. You have outdone yourselves, and we sincerely admire the dedication that allows for these changes to take place. Without this degree of focus, there would be no ascension, as we have asked you envision it. Instead, there would be chaos and destruction. If David Wilcock, again, with a Jesus complex, he's the savior of the world, and they're telling him that he's the savior. Without him, everything would be chaos and destruction. What a pile of fucking horseshit. This is horseshit. We made it through. We made it through the horseshit, friends. We made it through. Praise the gods. We made it through another round of this garbage. It's such garbage. Yes, I believe that you are correct. It's part of the grift. That's another subtle deceptive tactic, V, that I have seen him use time and time again. And that is designed to hook the, let's just say, like me, recovering Catholics or former Christians who have been hurt in some way by the church. So he says Christ consciousness, right? He said Christ light is what he was channeling. To any theologian, though, he's claiming to channel Christ, literally claiming to channel Christ. And again, I just want to ask everybody, why would Jesus Christ inhabit the body of David Wilcock for a time just to tell him that he's the savior? And without him, everything would be turmoil and chaos. And what a great job him and his wife is doing, right? It's redonkulous. It's just redonkulous. Yes, quite a promotion he gave himself there. Failed musician to son of God. Conspirituality is where the money's at. Yeah, apparently. Yeah. Silly McChilly says, I am feminine, just not sacred. Victor Sarge says his wife sells her bathwater. That's a little strange, but in today's economy, I don't blame you, bro. Whatever brings in some PayPal money, right? Yeah, so listen, if I were to sum anything up about what the takeaway from this latest Streamfest of bullshittery is, I would say this. Now we know. People were wondering, what is Wilcock going to do when the letter of the alphabet grip dies for him? He's going to go back to channeling bullshit. So now he has new sources of bullshit. And then he's going to do stupid things like try to claim because he had a dream where he fell on ice and then the next day fell on ice that his superpowers are real. And did you all catch that? We don't need any more channeled information, just mine, right? He said we only need the law of one material and the things in his book. We don't need anything else. Again, a subtle deceptive tactic designed to basically communicate, don't give any other channeling people money, only give me money because I'm the accurate one. Well, that remains to be seen. And we've got, let's see, is it thousands, David Wilcock, or tens of thousands of your former prophetic visions and dreams and channelings from your previous website, ascension2000.com, that is gone from the internet because none of that shit happened. And you know it. And it's embarrassing as a psychic when there's thousands of predictions that failed that anybody could read through. And we may do a show just covering that. Just covering all of his failed predictions over the years, right? my favorites were that we were supposed to get light bodies and superpowers in the year 2000 and the year 2012. He says it's demonic and dark magic. I'm very concerned about anybody that says they're channeling Christ consciousness or Christ light or Christ or angelic beings, that they could actually be communicating with demonic forces. And he doesn't know that, and he can't prove, he cannot prove any of his claims about who he's actually channeling, right? All right. And, I don't want to get too religious here, but I do want to quote some scripture because I'm a Christian, and I find fault in his attempt to claim that he's channeling angelic beings or Christ consciousness, Christ light. All right. John 4:1-6. The Bible says, "Beloved, do not believe every spirit, but test the spirits to see whether they are from God. For many false prophets have gone out into the world. By this you know the Spirit of God. Every spirit that confesses that Jesus Christ has come in the flesh is from God, and every spirit that does not confess Jesus is not from God. This is the spirit of the Antichrist, which you heard was coming now into the world already. Little children, you are from God and have overcome them. For he who is in you is greater than he who is in the world. They are from the world, therefore they speak from the world, and the world listens to them." Peter 2:1, "But false prophets also arose among the people, and there will be false teachers among you, who will secretly bring in destructive heresies and spirits, even denying the master who brought them, bringing upon themselves swift destruction." Matthew 7:15, "Beware of false prophets who come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly are ravenous wolves. You will recognize them by their fruits. Are grapes gathered from thorn bushes or figs from thistles? So every healthy tree bears good fruit, but the diseased tree bears bad fruit. A healthy tree cannot bear bad fruit, nor can a diseased tree bear good fruit. Every tree that does not bear good fruit is cut down and thrown into the fire." Boy, we really are getting biblical here, right? Okay, Deuteronomy 18:22. "When a prophet speaks in the name of the Lord, if the words do not come to pass or come true, that is a word that the Lord has not spoken. The prophet has spoken it themselves. You need to be afraid of him." There's a concept in Christianity called test of a prophet, and it goes something like this. If somebody is claiming to be a prophet, and here very clearly David Wilcock is claiming that he has prophetic dreams, prophetic psychic powers, and is channeling angelic beings with prophecies, he's claiming he's a prophet. That is a clear claim of being a prophet. So if we go to the Christian concept of test of a prophet, there's a huge problem. Because in the Christian concept of proof of a prophet, it goes like this. Any prediction that the prophet made must come true 100% of the time, 100% accurately, every single time. Because God would not make mistakes, right? God would not give a prophet false information to share to the followers of said prophet. So the Christian concept is, if you fail one time in your prophecy, one time, then you fail the test of a prophet and you are a false prophet. David Wilcock, it's easy to demonstrate all of the tens, hundreds of failed predictions he has made. David Wilcock, by Christian standards, does not pass the test of a prophet at all. At all. He is a false prophet according to any Christian or person who believes in Christianity, because the Christian concept of the test of a prophet applies to all prophets, including New Age bullshit prophets. If they make one prediction which does not come true, then they are not of God. They are not a true prophet. They are not getting their prophecies from Christ or God. They're most likely, in Christian belief, getting those prophecies from demonic forces that are deceiving them. God would not deceive a true prophet. God would not allow his true prophet to fail in a prophecy. That would be proof that they are not a real prophet. David Wilcock has continually failed in these prophecies for 20 years now. So for him to now claim that he's channeling Jesus and angelic beings, it's very simple. Pass the test of a prophet, David Wilcock, to prove that you are indeed sharing with people accurate prophetic information. You can't and you won't, because you're a false prophet, Mr. Wilcock. And I'll challenge you to a religious debate on these issues. If you want to do that, I'd be happy to do that. Very knowledgeable on these subjects. You cannot be channeling Christ when you were wrong 100 other times, friend. You can't suddenly be channeling Jesus Christ. If that were true, you would have not one failed prediction. I could cite 10 of them just off the top of my head, David Wilcock. You, sir, are a false prophet, and how dare you, sir, claim to be channeling essentially God in order to collect donations and make money, giving people false prophet information. You're a false prophet. That's my opinion as a Christian, and I'm allowed to have that opinion, David Wilcock. You may not like my opinion, but I'm allowed to have it. And I just want to mention, for the benefit of those watching live, I generally don't share much of my religious beliefs, because I don't ever want to be perceived to be trying to push my own personal spiritual beliefs off on anyone else, right? You know, there's people that like knock on your door and say, have you heard the good news? And give you those No, that's not me. I don't ever, if somebody is having a conversation with me and asks me, what are your spiritual beliefs? Or, you know, do you pray? What do you believe about God? I will certainly share my thoughts and opinions, but I don't want to ever, especially as a public figure, be seen as pushing my beliefs. But in this specific circumstance, knowing my knowledge of Christian faith and what David Wilcock is doing or attempting to do here, I got to make an exception so that I can explain to people how ridiculous it is for him to be claiming that he's a prophet from a Christian perspective. You may disagree with me. You're free to do so. Now we're going to take some questions, comments from the live chat. Yeah, but Stephen, he has failed prophecies for 20 years, so he can accurately predict the future when he does his 20 and back. It's all part of the plan. Yeah, maybe that's the plan. Yeah. I was a pastor's wife at one time. I can Bible thump with the best of them. Preach it, Stephen. Yeah, sweet cheeks. Like I said, I'm not a Bible thumper kind of guy, right? I never push my beliefs on somebody else. Once in a great while, right? Like I had a friend that was really struggling. He was having a really tough time. And he was talking to me and telling me how hopeless he was, like that he'd never really been in that dark a place. And I said, have you tried praying about it? And he was kind of surprised, because I don't generally, even with my close friends, these are my personal beliefs. But in that circumstance, you're having a dark time, can't hurt to pray about it, right? And he did, and he felt that it helped him. But generally, I don't push my beliefs on anybody else. I don't. Yeah. 1 second, friends. Oh man, people are sharing. People are still It's the 18th, and people are still sending me conspiracy land nonsense from that letter of the alphabet, right? Lee Veltman asks, Sweet Cheeks, what kind of pastor? Yeah, so any comments or questions, let's put them in all caps so that I know they're for me. Terry Joyce is here. Shout out to Terry Joyce, who says hilarious Wilcock thumbnail. Yeah, I grabbed that from his live stream. Maybe that's his O face, Terry Joyce, right? Victor Sarge says prophet prophecy. Yeah, maybe he meant he's a prophet, Profit. Victor Sarge, not a Prophet. He's a prophet with an F. No. When Wilcock's prophecies fail, it's because the universe has been adjusted by nefarious forces. But if we pay the Wilcocks enough, it may be possible for him to combat those forces. Yeah. And maybe if we send him money, he can feed some of those elephants that so far they didn't feed any, right? They didn't give him any money for elephant feed, right? Where is the super chat? Listen, we just passed the requirements for being monetized, and I'm going to work on the paperwork this week, and we'll be able to take super chat donations as soon as we get verified, which I'm hoping will happen shortly. In the meantime, there is a PayPal donate button in the About section. We call those not so super chat donations, and you can add a note, and I'll shout out anything you say. So please do that. We could use the funds. I'll put the begging bowl out for a moment since somebody asked about that. And we do need some financial support to continue in the show. Please consider a PayPal donation or becoming a Patreon supporter if you want to see our show continue. There's links in the About section. You can join Patreon and you can join PayPal. I'm going to give some shout outs to the latest. One second. I'm going to give some shout outs to the latest people who have signed up for our latest two new patrons are Una and Jennifer. Thank you very much for your kindness, your generosity, your support. It really does help us to keep the show going. It's bought us all the equipment that you see here. And I should take a moment also to mention, I said this on Twitter, like, come on, David Wilcock. David Wilcock spent $10,000 on his streaming setup, I think, right? At least he spent $10,000 on equipment and software that was donated to him for free. And he can't make a stream work. A guy that has 180 IQ can't work YouTube with $10,000 worth of equipment backing him up, right? Everything here, the backdrop, the lights, the webcam, the microphone, and now even the computer in front of me, this older, really older, but I still appreciate it, this older 27-inch iMac. I think it's like a 2011 or 12. That's how old it is. But it runs the stream great. Everything here was donated to us. Everything here was purchased with the PayPal or the Patreon money. And we can have a full counting of that, even though I'm not a charity. This is technically a business, and I'll be paying income tax and everything, like a good citizen. I don't know. Wilcock thinks he doesn't have to, right? So that's my begging bowl. I'm really, kind of like, what do you get on Patreon? You get a Linux-based operating system I'm developing, and you get the MindHack project for free. There will be new MindHack tracks this month if all goes well. Yes, and I agree with you. On Chilcock's chat, lots of folks were bitching about the unsyncing of his audio. Pretty funny. And then he re-uploaded it, and the audio is still out of sync. So a guy with a 180 IQ can't work a live stream. I was mostly streaming on my cell phone until recently. Yeah, Terry, I know people with a $40 Android phone that they bought on eBay to stream with that do a better job than him, right? How the hell is his stream such a fucking clusterfuck, right? I guess because his wife's running it? I don't know. But I just think it's funny that he spent that much money on his equipment and his software and his gear, And it's so terrible that we do a better job literally on a few $100s worth of equipment. We have a decent webcam here, a decent microphone, uh, I don't know, a 12 or maybe more year old computer. Or no, I'm sorry, it's not that old. 8 or 9 year old iMac, and everything runs good. My audio is in sync, right? I mean, occasionally we have technical difficulties, but nothing like he does. And by the way, he basically implies that the reason that his stream was all wonky, it's because he's under deep state attack. They don't want him getting this information out to everybody. Bullshit. It's bullshit, friends. It's absolutely bullshit. I'm going to just do something here. Just bear with me, friends. So we've shouted out the latest Patreon supporters. They have my generosity. I'm so thankful. They have my gratitude. My gratitude. And again, worthy of noting, David Wilcock collecting chat donations through that entire shit show stream. Never stopped to thank any of them. I believe it's good to have an attitude of gratitude, and I am extremely grateful to everybody. If you give me a penny, I'll shout you out and thank you profusely, because we're in a terrible situation with COVID and all this other stuff. It's just, I should say, the current health crisis. It's just not, it's not a good time for anybody financially, including me. So I really too believe in have an attitude of gratitude. And, I want to thank each and every person that has sent me anything, because it all is going back into the show in one form or another. I still think that soon we'll be upgrading and we'll be at HD video. The next tier of the software we use will let us, hold on. I will find you. Somebody's asking about the About section. Let me find that About section. All right, here we go. And I will put it in the live chat for you. Here we go. There is the About section. You'll see, if you go to the About section, Moody Mongol, you can go to the About section there, and then there is a PayPal donate button and a Patreon donate button. Lord Doe, have you checked your pockets lately? All right, I'm going to check in. So we've checked in with the Patreon people. Thank the latest Patreon supporters. And Sweet Cheeks as well is a recent Patreon supporter. I want to thank you guys. I'm really struggling to come up with some new stuff so that I can offer you guys, just to thank you for kicking in a couple of bucks every month. It really does make a difference. It's been the difference between being able to do this show and not being able to do this show. Honestly, if not for a little bit of the donations, I wouldn't have the money to purchase some of this equipment. Things are really tight right now, and I want to be able to justify it, spending, money that my family may need for things like food and shelter on things like, webcam and software, things like that. So it's really been a huge help, all of you people who have helped us do that. I really appreciate it. I did not know this. Look at this. There is now a History Channel petition for History Channel to stop airing episodes of Ancient Aliens that feature David Wilcock. Oh, wow. Yeah, Moody Mongol. I don't believe that we ever had a YouTube donate. We don't have the super chats right now. We will shortly. I'm hopeful that we will shortly. But for right now, I don't believe that we have that. And friends, I just want to congratulate you, because along with me, you have now made your way through another 3 hours of garbage information that has zero value to any person or anyone in the world. Zero value. David Wilcock's information is worth nothing. It is worthless. So again, I just don't understand why and how people are sending him thousands of dollars a stream while he's giving people completely and totally fake, factually inaccurate information that has zero value and will, in a short amount of time, all be proven to be garbage and fake. Remember, according to David Wilcock, the internet and all the media is going to get shut down, right? And we're supposed to get a text from Trump that the storm is upon us. I didn't get the text. I don't know. I did not get the text. All right, Moody Mongol. Look here. I'll do it again, but this time I'll just send you the donate button. Okay, 1 second. The PayPal donate button. I'll put it right in the live chat for you. You can just click on it. Make sure you add a note and say you're Moody Mongol if you're going to send me a donation, so that oh, why is that not working? Let's try that again. 1 second. That gave me some big, huge, long donate by PayPal. Let's see if it'll. All right. Now I got it. I think I got it. I will put the donate button directly into the PayPal donate button is now directly there. So if you just click the link I just put in the live chat, you should be able to donate by PayPal. And any donation would be much appreciated. I'm sorry if you had trouble finding it. Yeah, there you go. So make sure, Moody Mongol, you add a note, but I'm going to know if I watch this come through right now that it came from you. But, add a note and write anything you want me to say or shout out to you on air. And I will shout it out to you on air and offer you my gratitude and sincere thanks. Yeah. So we're way behind in our monthly goals. My goal for the show is to raise $200 a month, which would be, $50 a week. It's kind of like working at Taco Bell a few nights a week, right? I'm not trying to make a mint here, but a little bit of cash would really be fun. Would really be beneficial. I mean, and fun. Yeah. So I guess every month I set a goal. Last month we hit our goal of the $200 income. This month we're way light on it. I think we're at $140 or $139 so far between the Patreon and the PayPal donations. See, I'm always honest with my audience. Andrew Whitley is asking, when is the next show? Might be one later tonight. I forgot to mention, and I'll do so now. I had an extremely difficult time at the cabin this past weekend because of the weather. It's been extremely cold there, like 10 degrees, and we got 1 or 2 inches, maybe 2 inches of snow. But I almost couldn't get out of the cabin to the main road. In fact, it was probably the worst trip out of the cabin that I've ever had. There was a slight hill, and the car wouldn't move. My traction control went on, and the wheels were just spinning, all 4 of them. And I tried to get out and push it a little bit. That didn't work. Eventually, I had it back half a mile down a hill. And it's a slight hill. It's not, but it was frozen solid like an ice rink. So, and then I had to go down through this dirt road to this back dirt road, and it was a nightmare to try to get out of the cabin. And every time that happens, I get a little spooked about, like, if I get stuck there, that's going to be a huge problem. You can get, AAA to come and drag you out, I guess. But anyway, I'm not going to the cabin for a few weeks because we're predicting lots of snow and the roads may be completely unpassable, even with 4-wheel drive. So I am not going to the cabin for at least the next few weeks. That's the bad news for me. I'm going to miss that place. It feels like every time I start making progress on that place, I got to take a few weeks off and then nothing happens for weeks. But I'm taking a few weeks at least off of the cabin, and that means I will have more time for shows. So I got a huge backlog of shows that I wanted to do, and all the sources are there, the stuff to share, the notes of things to talk about in folders. I've got a huge backlog now. I may start really pumping out some more shows. So there may be one later tonight. Oh, yes. Lee Veltman. Didn't they also say the Pope was arrested? Yeah. And again, this is how easy it is. I just called up the Archdiocese of Philadelphia, where I used to live in Pennsylvania, and asked them, and they laughed and they said no. He wasn't arrested. They said he was arrested Saturday night, but then I called the Archdiocese on a Sunday, and they said, well, that's ridiculous because he did his normal Mass this morning at St. Peter's. And then he did 3 different public appearances that were already on his schedule. So if he was arrested and in jail, how is he doing his normal Sunday appearances and Mass? It's garbage. And we've got idiot Wilcock. We've got Simon Parks, Robert David Steele, and a few other idiots, Crazy Kerry Cassidy, running around selling this garbage. They're going to push this thing right off the fucking cliff. They can't let it go. This has been their money for Lee Veltman. They've been making money off this shit for years now. Yeah, Jolly Bridge Burner. He's on house arrest. I guess they let him do the Masses because he's just on house arrest. Wow, why do they keep killing Tom Hanks? What do you got against Tom Hanks? Pope arrested, Tom Hanks dead. TCH dead. Oh, geez. The Pope being arrested. Allegations are coming from Alex Jones' channel. Well, that's funny because he just freaked out. Remember? He freaked out about the... Oh, 1 second, Moody Mongol. I have to refresh my screen, and I'll see if you wrote any... Oh. Well, actually, we got 2 donations today. And one of them is for $10. I'm just going to give their initials AC because they didn't add a note. And that would be a female that gave that. If somebody wants to identify who just gave a $10 donation, please let me know in the live chat. And then I believe it's Moody Mongol is the other donator, a kind donation of $20. My sincere thanks to you guys. I truly appreciate it. That is awesome. That made my day. It doesn't take much, friends. You know, I'm now $30 up on the world, and I got to tell you that that's a much better place than being $30 down on the world. So could you help? Can you spare a brother dollar? Help a brother out. Oh, I did not hear this. Can somebody confirm this? Corey Good is now selling Blue Avian Communication Protocol conference tickets. Had not heard that. I do know that he is selling a course on the Law of One. By the way, I reached out to the Law of One Foundation to ask them if Corey Good has their permission to be selling their materials or teaching a course on their materials. Nobody has gotten back to me yet. And I've done that twice now. And Wordo says, wait, the chickens are back. I thought Corey Good said they left because we worshiped them too much. He did. But now he needs money and new material, just like David Wilcock needs new bullshit. So, yeah, Moody Mongol, I'm not saying you were a female. I saw 2 people give donations. One of them was the initial AC, and then I saw your donation directly after that. So I knew that the male one was from you, but I don't know who the female one was. So could somebody please let me know in the live chat who gave me a $10 donation just a few minutes ago? That would have been just a few minutes ago. And yeah, we may still hit, and those initials were AC. But see, that's why I say add a note so that you can put your chat room user ID and I don't shout out your real name. I'm sure a lot of people don't want me to do that. So add a note and put your user ID in the note line so that I know who did that. Yeah, so we've got a mystery donator with the initials AC who donated just a few minutes ago. And I'm trying to get somebody in the live chat. Terry Joyce, I'd like to see your source on this. The Pope smokes dope, but I can't lie. If I was given the opportunity to smoke a bowl with the Pope and talk about religion, You're fuck right I would. Fucking right I would smoke a big bong with the Pope if he was willing and talk about God and Jesus and everything. Moody Mongol says he has to figure out donating an alien scientist. Yeah, he was here earlier. I'm not so sure if he's here later. Oh, that reminds me. This is great news, friends. So we did this Roswell Revisited show with Cal Korff, and he had a lot of not so nice things to say about Kevin Randle and Kevin Randle's books, this and that. Kevin Randle contacted me by email and said, he's full of shit, basically. And, I'll come on your show and defend my position. And I said, fuck yeah, we're going to do that. So this Saturday night at 9 p.m. Eastern time, we're going to revisit Roswell with amazing author, lecturer, and researcher Kevin Randle, who's written several books on Roswell and is considered an authority. He's the original guy who was in the Unsolved Mystery episodes on Roswell. And he was the consultant when they made that Roswell movie, with the Twin Peaks guy. I don't know that actor's name. But there's a famous Roswell movie that's fictional, but still pretty accurate, according to Kevin Randle, in most of the places, about Marcel and the Roswell incident. And he was the Hollywood sort of consultant on that. Yes, your initials are AN. The other, that's what was confusing. The female's initials were AC. So, and yours are AN. I see that here. But I'm trying to find so that I can personally thank the AC person who donated $10, because their kindness and generosity is much appreciated, as well as yours, Moody Mongol, and you have my thanks. Yeah, really, God bless everybody donating. Help a brother out, right? Okay, there we go. And Shirashi sent you a 10 on PayPal, and that's funny. Thank you for owning up to that. And you should be thanked profusely. And you should know that you have my sincere thanks. And thank you so much for the support. It really does help to keep the show going and keep us moving forward in our goals here. We're slowly gaining steam here. So there's good news all around. This coming Saturday night, we're going to have an interview with Kevin Randle. And I can't tell you, I got all his books. Can't wait to hear his take on Roswell. Then I'm hoping to get some others like Don Schmidt and a few others. We're going to keep going, revisiting Roswell until we get to some consensus about some kind of truth about the event. Fascinating case, one of my favorites. Why? Because there's so much material on it to digest. So we're going to revisit Roswell hopefully a few more times. And people have asked if Kevin Randle will come on with Cal Korff, and I don't know. We're going to ask him when we interview him if he'd be willing to come back. And yeah, we'll see what happens. The other thing I wanted to mention is that I was way off. I mentioned previously that we needed 4,000 hours of watch time in order to get monetized. And I was watching analytics, but I was watching the monthly analytics, not the all-time analytics. And so what I found out is that I thought we only had like 4,400 hours of watch time, but that's still sufficient to be monetized. That's not true. We actually have 18,000 hours of watch time. People have watched 18,000 hours of this show, to the tune right now of 55,000 views. But these are just YouTube numbers. If we aggregate in the Twitch numbers and the Facebook numbers, we're at almost 80,000 views, and I don't know how much watch time. So from small beginnings, friends, I started this show, I planted the seed, I came here, I kept watering the garden, because surely if you continually put the time in every day, you don't have to do a lot some days. Some days you won't have the energy, the time, the dedication, the passion to, but you got to show up every day and water that garden. Surely if you water that garden will grow. And our garden we're starting to reap now what we have sown so early in this show. when I started, we were getting like 5 viewers live, right? We're up to something like 60 for today's show, watched us live at the height. And things are improving. Our watch time, 18,000 hours. I couldn't believe it. And then I was mad at myself because I was so worried about watch time that I did all these other projects to try to get the watch time up. But it is what it is. I understand a little more fully how to work the analytics, and we're right now at I don't know, something like just under 1,010 subscribers. I'm gonna wait until that's another 10 or 20 or so before I fill out the paperwork. Then we're gonna have super chat donations. So it's all good news about our show and our future. And again, I hope we're gonna upgrade the software here and be streaming to 8 locations at once. That's amazing. And in HD. They only let us do 720 for some reason on this tier of our software. We're gonna up it and expand our platform here. Moody Mongol, have you thought about a band with alien scientists yet? Write a bunch of songs about Wilcox and all his new age cronies. Possible internet breaker right there. Yeah, if we made a good music video, it definitely would be. Bunya says they keep you doped up with religion, sex, and TV, and you think you're so clever, classless, and free, but you're still fucking peasants to me. Poet and a prophet. I'm selfish. Being a musician myself, when I listen to the genius songs that John Lennon has written in his short lifetime, I'm sad for him being murdered for multiple reasons. I mean, it's a tragedy that he got murdered, but the selfish part of me is sad that John Lennon got killed because of all the songs that he did not get to record or finish before he passed so early, so young, right? I mean, imagine what kind of music he'd be making right now. I would love to hear what he'd be doing right now. And so would most music fans, I think. I mean, after all, look at some of the work that Paul McCartney did after the Beatles, Live and Let Die, and just so many incredible songs that he's written. And I miss John Lennon. I mean, not that I knew him, John Lennon was really before my time. I got into the Beatles later. I was always into like harder stuff, but then you get a little older, you start going, yeah, let me see. So one day, what I did, I was familiar with like the Beatles hits, but not really like deep into their music. And I like album experiences. So what I did is I got all the albums in a box set and I just started listening to them in chronological order from their first to their last. And then I suddenly understood why people were so rabidly fans of the Beatles. Didn't understand it before, a little before my time, right? But I'm glad for the experience, and I'm sad that happened to John Lennon. I wish he would have survived to write 100 more albums, right? But then I feel the same way about any songwriter that dies. Like I always wonder, like how many amazing songs did they have left in them that they didn't get to, like Prince or Tom Petty or all the grunge guys that died. Nirvana's singer Kurt Cobain and Lane Stanley and all of these amazing artistic and creative people that got, Chris Cornell. There's so many of them. Chester Bennington that just all died way too young, right? I wish that they would have stayed around just so I could see or hear what music they would create later in their life. It's a tragedy whenever a songwriter dies. It's like that old saying, like if you got to do everything that you're supposed to do or that you feel passionate that you should be doing, because on your deathbed all those ideas will be there and all those ideas will be going, why didn't you complete me? You were the only one who could. I worry about things like that myself. And I worry about doing that which is the important things that I'm supposed to complete, like this crazy cabin. I'm trying to finish that. Yeah. So we're gonna, I suppose we are going to wrap things up here, and I will get set If only that were true. John Lennon is now part of the SSP. He'll be back in 20 years. If only that were true. Oh, yeah. Lord Doe, I agree with you. Dimebag was another who had a lot left to give. Yeah, what a tragedy in his case. Somebody shot him while he was playing a show. That's crazy. Crazy. Yeah, rest in peace, Dimebag Daryl. Yeah, that one hit me pretty hard because you know, I think first band was sort of punk rock, hardcore, and the drummer and everybody. I wasn't really that big a Pantera fan, but I got into them because of other people in this band that I was in that were big Pantera fans. But yeah, it's a tragedy whenever any songwriter dies. I hate that. I hate it. And I hate that I'm so selfish that I'm always thinking when they die, God, I wish they would have recorded a few more albums before they died, right? I believe every artist has one great work left in them at all times. So it's a tragedy when anybody dies. Well, friends, we made it through another round of David Wilcock bullshit cavalcade here, right? And I gotta say, it'll be interesting to see him push this channeling grift now. That's where he's going. That's my prediction. That's my prediction, David Wilcock. I'm predicting that your next con grift is going to be selling that you're channeling Jesus, but you're not. And we're going to continue to cover the events here. Also, again, just to mention, we have reached out to his accounting firm asking for the 990 forms and several messages. I'm going to try to call them again today. Maybe I'll send a few more emails. We want to see how much money in donations David Wilcock is taking in and what he's spending all that money on. Yeah. So, friends, until next time, I want to thank each and every one of you for joining us. We had great numbers today, especially for this was not very well planned or promoted, to be honest with you. Very last minute to do this, but I watched this shit show yesterday, and I knew that I had to cover it because everybody's talking about it and asking me to cover it. So yeah, we wanted to come and do that. We had great numbers today. I'm always happy when there's an audience, and I want to thank each and every one of you for being a part of mine. Until next time, friends, my name is Stephen Cambion. God bless all of you.